Mark Twain is claimed to have said, "It's better to keep your mouth closed and let people think you're a fool than to open it and remove all doubt." Alas, perhaps Portland, Maine's City Councilor Victoria Pelletier isn't familiar with that adage, or she never independently reached that conclusion herself. Hi everyone, I'm Gardner Goldsmith for MRC TV, and here's the story. The Maine Wire's Steve Robinson reports, quote, "A city councilor from Maine's largest city has blamed the single largest shooting of white people in Maine's modern history on white nationalism." Evidently, at the time she uttered her words of wisdom, Ms. Pelletier's Holmesian didactics extended beyond the police and judicial system, pinpointing the suspected culprit of mass murder in Lewiston, whom police Saturday said they had found dead in Lewiston, Maine. And she was somehow able to discern his motive. Quote, "As the statements begin to roll out," City Councilor Victoria Pelletier said in a Friday Instagram post, "make sure you peep which one of your representatives actually calls this what it is, an act of violent white nationalism and domestic terrorism." Okay, pretty impressive psychological analysis there, right? Well, it's especially pertinent because she likely knew very little about him. And if one wanted to wander into her morass of mental derangement, one could tell her that the victims were, yes, of course, well, as Mr. Robinson pointed out, every publicly known victim of Robert R. Card's Wednesday night shooting spree has been white. Man. Why do so many politicians and people who want to steer political agendas create asinine narratives such that we might have to dirty ourselves by responding to their errant nonsense? Portland's Princess Pelletier wrote a lengthy manifesto-style diatribe about the killings because, of course, they had nothing to do with her. But perhaps she felt compelled to make the vicious attacks partially about her, about race, about power imbalances, as we oft hear from various neo-Marxists who want to gain political power and push others around, and about privilege. Yeah, because she wrote, quote, "The motive is he's white, he has a gun, and he can enact terror and violence on innocent people because the world has awarded him the privilege to do so." Which means that you, too, are partially guilty of his crime. Yeah, we see how this all works. Of course, Ms. Pelletier isn't alone in saying dumb things after the fact. Even some conservatives on Boston Talk Radio, and I listen to a lot. And of course, even some of their callers have noted that Card had complained of hearing voices, was seen by psychiatric specialists, and was cited for threatening to kill people on a military base. But some of these same people on radio, supposedly pro-gun rights, pro-Second Amendment New Englanders, have said, and I'll paraphrase, "Given this, why didn't police take away his firearms?" Which is an implicit call for immoral, unconstitutional, so-called red flag action without explicitly calling it red flag gun confiscation. As I noted for MRC TV previously, and I noted on my Twitter/X feed a few days ago, quote, "The red flag law concept circumvents due process, breaches numerous aspects of the Bill of Rights, and jumps away from actually charging someone for criminal threatening. If the government claims someone has made culpable threats against another, a gun is not the only weapon he can get." This facade of protection that's projected by unconstitutional red flag action not only infringes on the rules of the United States, it's immoral and already has seen police kill an innocent man in Maryland. As I noted in May of 2022, quote, "One wonders what Gary J. Willis of Anne Arundel County, Maryland would say about this all-out attack on the right to keep and bear arms and right to due process. Sadly, tragically, Mr. Willis cannot provide an answer because in 2018 he was killed by police who invaded his home just after 5 a.m. in a red flag raid. And in Maine, the real suspect, the real danger, was a man who was a marksman for the Army Reserve. Indeed, Robert Card's position with the military brings to mind the fact that the targets he selected were soft targets where people couldn't be armed. Alcohol was served in the bowling alley and in the bar where the killer took so many innocent lives. And those facts bring to mind one more inevitable and logical question many civilians might actually have. John Lott has noted in his research the strong correlation between higher gun ownership among civilians and lower violent crime. Lott also has noted that violent criminals tend to avoid areas of higher private gun ownership. But politicians who call for onerous gun grab statutes don't want civilians to have guns. And the fact that political gun bans, so-called, leave guns in the hands of government may make one wonder if this suspect's position in the Army could have given him easier access to guns, regardless of the gun ban zones for civilians. And that might get a few more folks thinking about how dangerous it is for only agents of government legally to carry arms. The more private citizens can arm themselves, the safer and freer they will be. One doesn't need a lot of research to figure that out. And one certainly doesn't need discursive nonsense from politicians like Pelletier to get it either. Thanks for watching, everyone. Please like and subscribe. Find us on Rumble where they don't censor us, and hit the thumbs up button there. Again, like and share the videos as far as possible. You can also find us at MRCTV.org. That's MRCTV.org, where the whole team's work can be found. And while you're there, please visit the MRC Store. And of course, consider donating to the Media Research Center in its 36th year fighting left-wing bias. You can also find us in Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, and on Twitter. And on Gab, I'm at Gardner Goldsmith, and on Twitter, I'm at Gard Goldsmith. For MRC TV, I'm Gardner Goldsmith.